Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby.
Jujutsu Kaisen is gnarly as hell, and it's totally worth your attention if you're looking for a hilarious, action-packed, supernatural anime series. I jumped off the wagon for a little bit, and, there's no getting around it. I haven't looked at the last couple of episodes for, the last month, but man, I just sat down and I power watched, the last 5 episodes of the series, and man, this show kicks so much ass. It's really creative in some of the stuff that it does, but it's also very self-aware of the type of series that it actually is. So much so that it does manage to have fun with its premise, and its ability to not only be super serious, but also really funny at the same time is remarkable. There are some scenes in these batch of episodes that make me bowl over with laughter, and then the next minute you're getting a scene where a creepy demon who has a volcano for a face just suddenly decides to have all of these people in a restaurant just get burnt to a crisp. They basically spontaneously combust into disturbing burning corpses, and the ability to make me get freaked out and then laugh the next moment, man, that's just pretty freaking great right there. So it goes without saying that I'm going to be talking about a number of different episodes here, so I'm probably going to be a little scatterbrained in this review and talking about some of the bigger details here, so please forgive me for that. For the future of my Jujutsu Kaisen reviews, I'm going to try and do this on an episode by weekly basis, so one at a time, but here, there's a lot to cover. So, last I watched the series, they finally introduced the female member of the series, and then after that, we got, our first major two-parter here, which was one hell of a doozy, which basically involved Yuji and his friends going to this juvenile detention center, which had been taken over by this curse, a womb curse, which has basically transformed this place into this twisted machination of prisons. Basically, it's something that gets explained a few episodes later, that apparently these curses have the ability to use a domain transformation, where essentially they can transform a space into something of their will. Essentially something that's connected to their overall power. So if someone uses fire, they might transform a space into a volcano. This guy is in a prison, so everything is just this twisted, rundown place of metal and pipes, and it looks really creepy, and it serves as a really great place for these characters to go into. But essentially, like I said, what's going on here is that this entire place has been taken over by a curse, so our 3 first years are going to have to go in and try and save the day. And they have to do it quick because apparently this curse can get really powerful over time, and they waste no time in showing how incredibly destructive and disturbing that it actually is. Almost everybody within the juvenile detention center has been completely wiped out in the most violent, Mortal Kombat-like ways possible. There are some extreme violent scenes here, and when they finally come toe-to-toe with this creature, which looks like something out of a frickin' Silent Hill video game, looks like a monster designed by Guillermo frickin' del Toro. I don't know, it just kind of has that weird Pan's Labyrinth vibe to it. The creatures in this series look really creepy, and this dude is really powerful and manages to not only separate all of the characters from one another, but severely injures Yuji in the process. He loses a hand almost instantaneously, and then frickin' Fushiguro has to run away from him so that essentially Sukuna can take over Yuji's body. And this entire scene here is nothing short of intense. Getting to see Yuji get put against the wall and get his ass handed to him completely, even bringing out some brand new techniques like this really awesome punch that he does, which does almost nothing to this creature. It's not until Sukuna actually manages to take over his body that he ends up just destroying this cursed monster in an incredibly elaborate and super satisfying fashion. It's really great, but in an interesting twist, before in the series, whenever Sukuna would take over, it wouldn't be long before Yuji could actually take control of his body, but that doesn't seem to be the case of everything that's going on here, and Sukuna, being the guy that he is, really wants to kill Fushiguro, and he actually ends up meeting him outside the prison after this creature is killed, and he does this crazy thing where he essentially rips his own heart out. So basically this gives him full control of Yuji's body, knowing that, any moment, if that heart is destroyed, that could be the end of him, and that's where he and Fushiguro proceed to fight around the city, in what might be one of the best action scenes of the entire series thus far. It turns into full Dragon Ball here, with the characters jumping up and floating around in the air, kicking each other, sending each other flying through buildings, and And it's pretty much Sukuna who does most of the beatdown throughout all of these scenes, and like I said, it's nothing short of satisfying and immensely disturbing. Luckily, Fushiguro allows himself to get a little vulnerable for a second, which allows Yuji to take control of Sukuna's body once more, but now that his heart is no longer in his body, he basically collapses and dies. They try to make it seem like Yuji is basically dead at this moment, but he's the main character of the series, he's going to be just fine. In fact, he's actually found by none other than Gojo, who decides to put him through a brand new training regiment. Eventually, when he is resuscitated, he decides to put him in this training session where he has to learn to control his cursed energy. And the only way to do that is to hang out in a basement and watch a lot of movies. Now, this scene is remarkably funny for a number of reasons. One, it goes against the grain of every other training sequence that I've seen in all tons of other anime series. But there is a catch here. It's not just him watching his movies and trying to utilize his energy. Another one of those weird little dolls was created by the principal. It's a little teddy bear with boxing gloves, and if he's ever not constantly releasing this energy out, this thing's basically going to attack him and punch him in the face. So he has to be able to control himself, his cursed energy, and his emotions while he's watching all of these films. One thing I like about the scene, and something that's really unique about Jujutsu Kaisen, is its ability to talk about all things in pop culture. There's a number of big name drops of movies and video games and anime and manga in these episodes, and when Yuji gets really excited over the prospect of training with Gojo, he thinks that he's going to be able to learn something like Rasengan from Naruto, Bankai from Bleach, frickin' the Spirit Gun from Yu Yu Hakusho, Kamehameha Blast from Dragon Ball Z. The fact that he brings those up and they give us a small visual of all of these moments is just great. I love it. Even later on, when we get to see before he gets involved in another big battle, the last movie that he's currently watching is none other than The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. We actually get to see anime versions of frickin' Frodo and Sam. It's just awesome. I really love it. So while all of this is going on too, we get to see that Fushiguro and the surviving members of the team have decided to go back to the school, and it looks like they're going to go back into training. And they also managed to introduce 3 brand new characters to the show, who are essentially these second-year students, and again, they're just as unique as the other characters in the show, and maybe even more so. There's Maki, a chick who has a naginata, who's just really hard freaking core. That's the only way to put it. She's just really cool. There's this one kid who apparently can't ever talk in normal sentences. He has to give the ingredients of some stuff. I don't know what it is. It has something to do with the fact that maybe he can't, like, talk without accidentally hurting someone, but it's really freaking weird. And then there's a giant panda, who's just a giant panda. But amidst all of the training, we also get introduced to our first major villainous group of the entire series. First, there's Geto, who apparently is another Jujutsu sorcerer, and unlike the other ones, he's not exactly a Boy Scout. He actually seems to be evil, and he's working alongside some cursed spirits. One of them who goes by the name of Jogo, who is like a weird cycloptic volcano-looking creature. There's another real big freaky dude who goes by the name of Hanami, who has the ability to control plants and manipulate them in a number of different ways. There's also the cutest-looking Cthulhu that you have ever seen. But essentially, all of these characters are working together because they want to, get ready for this, take over the world. I know, it's a really unique plan. Their plan in general seems to be that they want to replace all of humanity with cursed spirits as they see them as the true humans. So basically, absolute annihilation. Let's bring in the next evolution of mankind, and that's going to be cursed spirits. They also seem to be working along with another major villain of the series who's introduced in the latest episode, who goes by the name of Mahito. Basically, he's this weird, scarred, Frankenstein-looking dude who kind of reminds me of the main villain from My Hero Academia. I don't know what it is with these guys, but I especially love their hideout, which, unlike a lot of other villain hideouts, is really awesome. It's basically just a beautiful and serene beach. It's the exact opposite of anything that I could have actually expected from an evil, cursed, villainous group. But essentially here, they have this plan where they're going to have to get rid of Gojo. And the only way that they're going to be able to do that is they're going to have to seal him away. They're not actually going to be able to defeat him because this guy is the ultimate sorcerer, and believe me, do we get to see more of him in action here. But they also want to get Sukuna to eventually join their side, which means they're going to have to capture Yuji. So that essentially leads to the scene, which might be one of the freakiest of the entire series, and the moment that made me realize, wow, the show is really good at juggling its funny shit and its really disturbing stuff. So while Geto is talking to Jogo, the volcano man, suddenly he starts getting pissed off when all these people start to leave this restaurant, and he decides to basically just kill them all by basically lighting them all on fire. And it's nothing short of disturbing. I mean, I don't know. It just came out of nowhere, and it's a scene that honestly left me with my freaking jaw on the floor. It just really creeped me out, and it made me, like, hate these villains and want to see them get defeated. And luckily, that comeuppance does come in the latest episode of the series, as Jogo thinks that he has the ability to take down Gojo. That is not going to happen at all. And by the way, how confusing is it to have two characters, one named Gojo, one named Jogo? I know I'm going to screw up at least at some point in this review, so please bear with me on all of this. So essentially, we get to see that Gojo is getting ready to go meet the principal of the tech school, and on the way, he senses some demonic energy, and that's when he runs into Jogo, who decides to attack him in the middle of the forest, and essentially an epic, super amazing fight takes place between these two characters, and we actually get to see Gojo's true abilities for the very first time, which apparently involve the use of infinity. Basically, he's able to take advantage of the infinite space that exists in between him and his enemies. Not to mention, we get to see the big introduction of the domain spaces, which were teased when we got the whole Curse Womb demon. Now we're getting it now with these new characters here. And what's really funny about all of this is it mostly serves as an excuse to just show how obnoxiously powerful Gojo is, as he just dominates this guy, kicking the shit out of him and sending him flying over this forest. But he actually manages to instantly have Yuji warp to this battlefield, which is hilarious. He doesn't explain it. He just says, hey, we warped here. That's what's happening. And he's basically using this as an excuse to train him on using the power of domains. So Jogo, the volcano cyclops, decides he's going to trap them in his domain, which takes the form of like the interior of a volcano, which according to him would instantly incinerate just about anybody, but these two are able to take it completely. It doesn't even harm them at all. And he says the only real way to actually fight back against someone's domain is to try and overpower it with a domain of your own. It also is confirmed too that within these domains all of their abilities are amplified, things do more damage, and basically you can't escape all of the damage that happens here. But basically, this is when Gojo finally decides to take off his weird mask. Now, to me, this is like a big Kakashi from Naruto moment, where you're waiting for him to show, like, what's the deal with his eyes? Is he going to look disfigured? Is he going to have scars? Is there going to be some crazy thing going on with his eyes, which allows him to utilize some power? Is it there to simply just, like, hide his power in some senses? And basically, Gojo takes off his mask, and basically just looks like the most handsome dude that you've ever seen. But he's also able to unleash his domain, which is, again, an infinite void, which is portrayed in the coolest way possible here, essentially completely freezing Jogo in place. And what I love the way is how he explained it. He's basically like, you have everything, but there's nothing that you can do with it in this space. You're absolutely overwhelmed by the infinity of the void itself, which gives Gojo the opportunity to completely rip this dude's head right off and to try and interrogate him, but not before Hanami, the creepy ogre man who can control plants, manages to stop him and bring the head back to his evil villains before they discuss their next plan to take down the world and replace it with cursed beings. Woo! That's a lot of information right here. This was so... And I didn't even cover some of the bigger details of these episodes. But man, there was so much going on here, and it is so damn good the entire time. What's the rundown on all of these episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen? This is an interesting show that at first I got a lot of mild enjoyment out of, and I wasn't really falling in love with it. But I think it was when they finally started to introduce all of these villainous groups that I really started to get into the series for how creative it could actually get. I do love that they acknowledge all of the existence of different anime and manga and the cliches behind them, as the series continues to battle against those cliches and tropes and try to carve out its own destiny and do its very own thing. The fact that Yuji's training consists of him just sitting on his ass, eating food, drinking soda, and watching movies is hilarious. It's not what you would expect from this type of show at all. And for him to acknowledge like the major attacks of other characters, from other manga and anime, I think is really funny. And like I said, seeing him watch Lord of the Rings was also funny too. But again, it's these villains who are just a tremendous amount of fun as well. And again, it also helps that the series production value is pretty solid. A lot of the action scenes are really well done in terms of their execution, their scale, and their scope. And I'd say some of the big takeaways from some of these action scenes, some of my favorites, have got to be Sukuna fighting against Fushiguro in the city. That was just tremendously well animated and looked so cool. The moment when Sukuna took over his body to fight against the Curse Womb in the Juvenile Detention Center, him regrowing his hands back and everything, yes, that's something that he can do. Probably important for the future of the series as well, as it's probably going to happen a number of other times. And frickin' Gojo versus Jogo. Just, God, that entire scene was just butter, baby. Spread it on some pancakes. It's delicious, my friends. There's some solid action going on in this series, and some absolute mad creativity, and some really fun characters. The heroes, the villains, the brand new side characters, everything in the series is remarkable, and I really can't wait to see how the entire season is going to wrap up, and what the future of Jujutsu Kaisen is, as I know that it's a relatively new manga series. It's only been around for a couple of years, and I really hope that this is an anime series that's going to try and stick with the main storyline. I really want them to kind of do the whole My Hero Academia thing, where if it is successful enough, maybe we'll get a new season every year, maybe even a shorter season, because I want to see more of this world. I think there's a lot of potential for it, not only just from the stories that they can tell, but from all the creative things that they can do with the heroes and the villains. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I really loved all of these episodes and got really sucked into them, and watching them all back to back is probably what amplified my hype of it just a little bit more. So I loved every single one of these episodes for practically completely different reasons, but it's the characters, it's the actions, it's the settings themselves, and it's its ability to break free from the trappings and tropes of shonen battle manga and to do something different with it. That's what I think I'm really enjoying the most about the show. And it's just really cool looking. I mean, it's just fun to watch. That's really the best way to put it. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I loved all of these episodes. I'm going to give them a 5 out of 5. That's my thoughts on them. I want to hear yours. Make sure to sound off in the comment section below telling me what you thought about all of these episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen. Are you going to continue to watch the anime series? Do you read the manga? What do you think about all of the major fight scenes which took place here? What do you hope to see from the future, the next major arc of the series, these brand new villains, all this crazy stuff? Sound off, comment section. Let's talk about it. Thank you guys for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. If you see that like button right there below the video player, make sure to hit it with your cursed demon abilities. It would help out these videos tremendously. It also ensures more people can see my content when it is released. I also want to take this time to thank my patrons, who are amazing people, because not only are you watching my videos, sharing them with friends, giving them likes, but every single month you are making donations, and I cannot thank you enough for that. Remember, first-time donators, if you make a first-time donation, I'll review an anime series of your choice, as well as adding your name to this list of super awesome people, the producers of Ace Guru. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay dandy, baby.